Hello and welcome to part 5 of creating a vertical bat shooter in Unity. In this video, we're going to be going over creating the impact animation and scripting the fireball impact. Let's get started. So now I'm going to create the impact animation for this fireball. When the fireball hits the enemy, there's going to be an impact animation. So I'm going to go over to my art assets. I have a folder called impact. I'm going to pull out that first frame and then I'm going to resize it to about 0.5 across the board. Now I'm going to put it on top of the enemy. I just want to see what it looks like when it initially explodes, and I'm going to change the order in layers to 1 because I want it to be on top of the enemy art every time it spawns. Alright, that's good. Now I'm going to go to Window, Animation, and I selected the impact before I did that. The impact was selected. So now I go there and hit Create. I'm gonna name this impact. And whenever I create animations, I just initially pull in the frames and just separate them by 5 frames at the beginning and just see what that looks like, and then I will adjust later as needed. But I'm just trying to get the frames on there as quickly as possible so I can see what it looks like. Now I'm just scrubbing back and forth just to see if I like it. I feel like I need one more frame. I want it to hang there for one more second, but I want the opacity to drop on that last frame. So I'm actually going to add a property. I'm going to go to add property and then go to sprite renderer. And opacity is going to be under the color property. So just find color in this list. Where is it? There it is. I think the second one, sprite renderer dot color. Yep, that's it. Hit plus. So now I'm able to edit the color of this object or this art asset. So I'm just gonna add a keyframe for where it's at now, just so I can so it'll only change at the end, and then I'm just gonna bring the opacity all the way down to 0. And that keyframe, let's see, boom. I like how that looks. So now I'm going to work on getting the fireball impact to spawn when the fireball hits the enemy. I'm going to go to scripts, going to go double click on simple fireball movement. Then inside this script at the bottom on line 19, I'm going to make a couple spaces. And now this is where I'm going to write an on trigger enter, on trigger 2D enter. Collider 2D collision. Yep, it knew what I wanted. And for this next part, if collision dot game object dot compare tag is equal to enemy, and I need to make the enemy tag. I haven't made that yet, but it's pretty much saying if you hit an object and it has a tag of enemy, then I'm gonna make the impact animation, and I need to add a public game object slot and call it impact, and this is where I'm going to actually put the impact game object. So I'm just going to say instantiate impact, and then this takes a transform position and the rotation. So quaternion identity. And I'm going to test this out and see what happens. Also, for testing purposes, I'm just going to put a destroy game object line in here so it destroys the skelly when it hits it. That way I can start testing out the level with the skeletons moving. I will implement a health system later, but for now this is going to just be what I use for testing. And for now, I'm going to go over to the prefabs folder, and I need to slot that impact game object into my simple fireball movement script so it knows what game object to instantiate. So now when I fire a fireball, it should impact the enemy. It's not, and I know exactly why. We forgot to add the enemy tag, so I'm going to go over to the inspector. I'm going to click on Skelly and then go over to the inspector. You'll see the tag drop down and go to add tag. And then just hit the plus, and now I'm gonna hit enemy. And now that I've made the tag, all I need to do is assign the tag to Skelly. So I'm gonna click on Skelly, go over to tag, and then find enemy. Now Skelly is tagged, and when I hit Skelly with this fireball, the impact animation should show up. Still not showing up. And this actually took me a little bit of time to troubleshoot, but I'm gonna go over to the prefabs folder, go over to the fireball. I forgot to add a rigid body 2D onto this fireball, so I'm just gonna go down to add component, type in rigid body 2D, click on that. Then I'm gonna turn the gravity scale to 0, and I'm gonna change the collision detection to continuous, and that should do it. Finally, now when we test out that fireball, boom. Now the impact location, that's what I was talking about. I wasn't really sure how that was going to work out, and it looks like I still have a little bit to do to fix that, but functionally it's working. I shoot a fireball, I hit the enemy, and it impacts.